Hey, we got a very special guest joining us on the show today. Originally, we were planning to have the director of the FBI, but he couldn't make it. So we're going to talk a lot about the Olympics and the National Football League. Our special guest today is Shelby Harris.
I thought we were getting the Attorney General as a backup.
They're
Hey,
unavailable.
everybody. Tom Green, Woody Paige, Ron Zappolo. We are thrilled to have in Shelby Harris, former Denver Bronco, former Seattle Seahawk. I guess I can say former Cleveland Brown, right? Or not officially yet, but...
Not official, but anything can happen in the next couple of weeks. So I appreciate you guys having me
No,
on.
we appreciate you being here. It's a big couple weeks in your life. With free agency starts what? I think second week of March?
Around then, I try not to pay too much attention to it to kind of give my family a little break, just so it can get a little hectic the weeks leading into free agency. My wife can get a little bombarded by people be like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" And my wife's just trying to enjoy the right now.
Sure.
And so we try to kind of just cool off of it until really like the week of free agency.
I haven't seen you since we were eating garlic on everything we had one night.
You guys
The
were out
stinking
together
rose.
at Super Bowl.
The stinking rose, baby.
So Shelby's with us, but we want to start with the Olympics, just wrapping up over in Italy, a tremendous Olympiad. And I think the big bow on the end of it was that gold medal hockey game between the United States and Canada. Jack Hughes carving his name now into hockey history forever as the hero that won the gold for the United States. In the overtime, the 3-on-3, which is controversial, but Woody, that was one of those games that they will still be talking about whenever they start doing it again.
Yeah, McKinnon has started talking about it
Yeah.
and will continue to talk about it, I think, because he said the best team didn't win. And there are some out there, including me, thought that Canada could win 5-1 in the game.
They should have.
They
And
could have won. Yeah.
had those opportunities and let them get away. And you know, we're kind of torn in Denver because the two stars of the Canadian team play for the Avalanche. But I think it was not a miraculous victory to go in the direction of miracle like what we saw in 60 and 80. I guess I'm the only one.
Yeah.
60. But it was a sterling end to it, I would say.
Those
What do you
razor
think,
margins.
Shelby? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed the men's and I enjoyed the women's. I just think that just in general, for a guy that necessarily doesn't watch hockey as much, you know, you can always watch the Stanley Cup. You can always watch the Olympics because the emotion. You can tell these guys care about it. These guys want to win. They're giving it their all. And also just the finishes the last two games have had, 2 overtime wins and just in dramatic fashion. I just thought that for the guys and for the the young kids who are coming into this and don't necessarily like watch hockey, you just gained so many fans because of how intense and how exciting the ending was.
But you'd have to agree, all of you shouldn't go to 3-on-3.
Oh, you just took the words out of my mouth.
That is-
Shelby,
that is
Shelby,
ridiculous.
We don't do
That is
this. And
ridiculous.
it's not big if you go to 3-on-3. It devalues everything. Can you imagine in a Stanley Cup playoff game, in Game 7 of a Stanley Cup series, maybe the finals of the Stanley Cup, that we decided to go 3-on-3? If the gold medal is that important, let them play. What's the hurry? Why don't let them play a while?
Plus, you want to see the greatest athletes in the world in hockey, and you're missing 2 on either
They're
side.
taking 2 and
100%.
saying, play without those 2. It's absurd.
Well, it's the same way in baseball when they were putting the runner on second with the extra
Ridiculous.
innings. It's cutting the game in half. It's
They
kind of
don't
taking
do it in the
away.
playoffs.
Well, no, they don't do it in the playoffs. So you shouldn't do it in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I
You
think that's
should
something
never
where
do
you
it.
want to see the best versus the best and go out there and see who wins.
And it wouldn't bother any of us, would it, if they went 3 or 4?
Who cares?
No, this is
Overtimes?
I'm afraid it's mostly about television and timing because they know 3-on-3 that game's not going to take 5
So
or 6
you're
minutes at
pissing
the
on
most.
your own.
Yeah, but I
well,
think
that's why I left television ultimately was the 3-on-3
I
thing.
think they probably had pretty good ratings for that game. They would have loved if it had gone on
Yeah.
a little longer. I
100%.
just think
that game.
But you're bastardizing the game
Yeah.
by going to 3-on-3 in the gold medal final game.
Well, for the Avalanche specifically, Devon Taves got stoned that one time by Hellebuck, where he literally was 4 inches away from the goal line of shoving the puck in, and then McKinnon missing the wide open
net.
A shot. He makes 100 out of 100. He missed by a couple of feet.
Can I throw one more thing in there, too? It was a fun game. I got up, like a lot of people did, and watched the whole thing. And then I got done, and I'm not a social media guy, but I find myself on there. And there are people, younger people, telling me that it's the greatest Olympic hockey game ever played. And I thought, man, I get that you're young, all right? But there is nothing about that game yesterday that compared to the game either in 1960 or 1980, because it was amateur athletes playing against supposedly the greatest team in the world. This, for all we talk about it, was a National Hockey League tournament.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well, my friend called me, and you should have thought about this. My friend called me, and he said, well, I see that I woke up late. I didn't miss anything yet.
Well,
I didn't miss too much.
not a big hockey fan, obviously.
Well, I woke up for the third period, and I'm extremely happy I did, because it seems like that's when everything really started to fall into place. But what it reminds me of when it comes to, we're talking about the players and people pretty much saying like this is the best hockey game they've seen. It's the same argument that you could say about when people say the best player they know. Talking about LeBron, going to Michael Jordan, going to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
It's the now.
It's all about when you were born and what you
Right.
see.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to see the Miracle on Ice. You know what I mean?
We meaning you.
Yes. Well, the people my age, and I'm
we
older.
were.
I'm 34, so it's not like I'm just this young pup. But still, for us, this is probably one of the most interesting Olympics we've seen, where we've seen 2 hockey games go to the final wire, and that's what brings us back for more.
I was thinking this Olympiad, we saw some of the great, the falls, if you will, Lindsey Vohn's crash and Ilya Malinin falling in his long program, the American figure skater. And then we just saw these brilliant people who rise and ascend as they do in Olympiads, whether it's Jack Hughes or Alyssa Liu or Michaela Schifrin winning that slalom. And it's just funny because you think of how the Olympics always does make stars. And sometimes the star is the person who does suffer defeat, who gets that one opportunity, and the window slams closed on them just at the wrong time. So I thought, in that case, the theatrics of this entire Olympiad and the presentation by the Italians was terrific.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but I'll go back to something we talked about a few weeks ago. I just think in general, the Olympics in our country are not, in general, viewed the same way as they used to be.
I disagree with that. You did say it a couple of weeks ago.
I believe it, too.
And I thought there was more drama. I thought there was more excitement. We saw 2 young ladies, one in skiing from Colorado.
I thought you meant Eileen Gu.
And one in women's figure skating. The joy that they had was incredible. As you know, I've covered like 14 Olympics, but I've never seen someone get up on the ice or up on a hill that was skiing or skating with more exuberance, saying, I'm doing this for me to have fun and enjoy, and I don't give a flying fuck what
except
happens.
those people that are doing that, they're selling their brand and they're making
But
an
I will say
incredible
this,
amount of money.
Michaela and Alyssa both weaponize joy, because everyone else in that position feels the squeeze, and it shows, and sometimes they persevere through it. They use joy as a weapon. You could see that Alyssa Liu, I don't know anything about figure skating except, like everyone, every 4 years you watch it. But I'd never seen anybody skate in the Olympics having as good a time as Alyssa Liu was.
Well, all you had to do was wait for the next competitor, the young lady from Japan.
Japan, yeah.
You could see the tenseness in her, and she finally made a slight mistake and lost. But that's why if you make that comparison there, you could see the joy. That's one of the things I always miss about football. You never see the joy because you're buried in a helmet. And that was the one thing about the sport that was always something that you couldn't really develop a personality because you can't get the personality to come through, particularly the more and more mechanisms that are in front of your face. We went from one single bar when you were a little kid to a cage to now a lot of guys wearing
The visor.
The visor, the dark visor, you can't see anything. No, but going back to Alyssa Liu, my wife is from the Bay Area, and so we have, ties to the Bay Area. Watching her skate, it made it look like the old days of figure skating, the gracefulness, the smoothness, the way she skates. But then what I thought was beautiful was she's like, I'm just doing this to show my art.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I had my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter was watching this. I could see the twinkle in her eye. But like, that's what this is all about. It's about inspiring the next generation of kids who want to maybe be in that position, who finally can see themselves on the TV going around doing these crazy tricks on ice. I just think that the best part was it's inspiring the next generation to want to be the next Olympians. And like we talk about how the Olympics have changed. That's the one thing that stayed constant, is that it's the true, time and over again, the next generation is finding the little sparkle when it comes to the Olympics and watching these young women and young men, really go out there and give it their all for their country.
That's a great point, because I remember my daughter watching Mary Lou Retton and an entire generation watching her and saying, my daughter would get up on a coffee table and go across it, and she wanted to. It was the only time in my life I'm covering the Olympics, and there was a Mary Lou Retton outfit that was in the media room that was behind glass, and I was going to break the glass and take it home to my daughter.
Did you ever think of doing any Winter Olympic sports? You grew up in a Winter Olympic area. I'm in Milwaukee, and I always think of, aren't all the speed skaters from West Allis? Isn't that where everyone comes?
So it's you got the Pettit Ice Center, which is over by West Allis by the State Fair Park. The only thing I could ever think of doing was watching Cool Runnings and doing bobsledding. That's one of the only thing I could think of. But other than that, they put so much time and so much technical skill into all those sports. It was, they're not really meant for people my size. It's definitely, a more petite frame. But I just think, and I was talking about this before, any honor to go represent your country would be so cool, because football, we don't get that.
But football's coming to
not real
football.
Not real football. But it's flag football, which is it's one step. But I just wish that we had this opportunity where the whole world cared about football as much as we do.
Sure.
So that we can actually go out there and play.
It's coming.
Yeah, and play against the rest of the world.
No.
Obviously, it's going to be way after I'm done playing.
Yeah.
But just, obviously we call ourselves world champions after we get, after we win the Super Bowl. But I would love that opportunity to go out there and really crown ourselves world champions.
As an American team.
You guys think Nathan McKinnon and Cale McCarr would have rather won the gold medal or rather hoist the Stanley Cup?
Gold medal.
Gold medal, of course.
I think if you asked him yesterday.
Gold medal, no question.
I disagree with all of you. I'll tell you why. They grew up in Canada. They didn't dream about winning the gold medal growing up in Canada.
Well,
they dreamed about hoisting the Stanley Cup. Maybe we'll get them here sometime.
Did you see, by the way, that one of the great images of the Olympics was when they handed that stuffed animal and the silver medal to Nathan McKinnon?
Well, that great image was,
man.
You could tell that the Canadians had this much interest in standing there getting that medal.
But the stuffed animal that they handed out, and McKinnon, is so intense and so serious that when they handed him that, somebody had a great tweet saying, "I fear for the life of that stuffed animal."
I think those guys grew up wanting to win a Stanley Cup.
Well,
just like I think guys in this country, a lot of guys grew up wanting to win the World Series, not win the World Baseball Classic or the gold medal. Not that it's not important. It is. But I just think for them, the Stanley Cup is the Super Bowl.
The Olympics is way more exclusive, though. And so even though you got to think,
but it's easier
especially
to
even
win.
for football, there's 53 guys on every team. But if you were going to have an Olympic team, it'd be 53 guys on one team.
The Olympics
that would be hard to make.
But
100%. So if you were to win that,
the Olympics are a 2-week event. The Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in professional sports. There's just a difference.
It takes more.
It takes more.
Yeah.
It takes a longer, concerted effort to do it.
We're going to talk about the Avs now with their 2 bronze, 3 silver, and 1 gold medal.
Can I just make one more point about the greatest bobsledders in history that we remember are the Jamaican
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Jamaican.
Cool
and
runnings.
Herschel Walker
Yeah.
being a pusher in the bobsled. And football is growing throughout the entire world. But I remember going with the Denver Broncos for an exhibition in Australia against the at that time San Diego Chargers, and I'm sitting there with a bunch of press from Australia and around, and that week when they opened up the Olympic Stadium a year before the Olympics in Australia, they played Aussie rules, they played soccer, they played NFL football, and a guy says to me, why do those guys have a conference after every 30 seconds or so? And so in growing it around, the NFL is trying its best. Brazil playing games all over the world, except they need to do a better job of explaining the sport. And I think that's left out in trying to play in Brazil, that people are just enjoying it, but they really don't.
They don't get it. You got to
comprehend
start with the
yet.
youth, though.
Since you mentioned the
That's true.
conference, I want to point out for our listeners that Woody's chalkboard behind us is about conferences. Today's the chalkboard says, I hate office meetings. I don't drink coffee, eat pastries, or like my coworkers. So
Damn.
Uh-oh.
I guess that's all about meetings.
tough on,
isn't it?
tough on the conference.
That's why I don't ever keep jobs.
Shelby, this week the NFL gets going. It never takes a week off. But now the NFL Combine is going to get underway in Indianapolis. You were not invited, or did you? I know you
I was
didn't
not
go to,
invited.
Yeah, and what did you think you were going to be invited? Was that disappointing to you at
No,
the time?
I didn't expect to be invited. And I was happy not to be invited, truthfully, because everyone knows those electronic 40 times are a lot more exact than if you go to the pro day.
And you did do a pro day.
Yeah, I did the pro day. I did the Northwestern pro day, and I did the Illinois State pro day. So it's harder to get your 40 time right when you're doing the combine because those electric 40s are extremely historically slow. And so when you go to the pro day, you're running your 40, and everyone's doing it by hand, and so it's human error involved. So that means you're going to be running a little bit faster, and so you don't have those times necessarily to fight off of when you're going to the pro day. So you're able to just go and have a fast time and live on that.
Right.
Now, if you go to the combine, it's like, damn, all right, I just ran a 4.9. I got to go up there. And now my pro day, I got to try to run a 4.85, 4.8, and try to lower that time.
You've played 11 years now?
I just finished my 12th year.
12th year. And how many times have you, because I've seen you make hustle plays that involved running 40 yards, but only a couple. Like a 40-yard time.
You old backhanded compliment.
Well, no,
Only
it's
a
true.
couple.
No, I remember one play very well where you ran all over the field and made a
I
tackle.
chased down Tyreek Hill one
Yep.
year. Yeah, like
So
first game back
it's
from
not,
COVID.
It's not lost on me,
You'll
but,
catch Tyreek Hill now easily.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
this week you got him.
If you can find him, what team is he on?
But a 40-yard time, they love that clock, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything for a guy playing your position. I mean, a 40-yard time.
But do you think that's true about all positions? I mean, they don't measure the intangible stuff that separates good players from great players.
Well, one, we're running the 40 without pads on.
Yeah.
So
What use is that? When do we ever have to, time somebody running 40 yards without pads on?
How
play
many
with
times have
pads.
you run 40 yards in a game?
In a game, if I'm running 40 yards, it's probably not a good thing.
yeah,
To be
It's a bad
completely
thing.
honest, more than likely we're
You're chasing.
losing or there's a touchdown run or something like that. So I do have a couple because we didn't win much in Denver. So obviously throughout our time, I had to run a bunch. But, the combine in general is outdated. You know what I mean? Because running with pads on, jumping without pads on, changing direction without pads on, everything you need to do needs to have pads on. So why don't we do this when you're evaluating?
Kind of a TV show now.
But also,
the
you're making this
Combine.
hard. A lot of GMs, a lot of teams make this stuff a lot harder than it needs to be. If they are good football players on film, they are going to be good football players in the NFL. If they're not good football players on film, and then they go to the combine and run the 4.4, they're just going to be shitty football players in the NFL that run 4.4.
They're fast.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. And I think
Yes.
these guys, these GMs, these scouts, they make this shit way harder than it needs to be. Just go out there
Old
and
school.
watch the films. Are they good football players? Are they playing good talent? Okay, cool. let's draft him. I think he can do the same in the
I always
NFL.
remember Bum Phillips saying about Earl Campbell. He they had a mile run to start camp, and he ran it terribly. And someone asked him about, what's the problem with Earl? He goes, well, if it's ever third and a mile, we won't give it to him.
But seriously though, that's the real issue. I feel like people don't realize with football is we try to evaluate these certain things that have nothing to do with football. That especially someone in my position, which I'm happy that strength and conditioning programs are catching up to this. And yeah, they're not having their D linemen run 100-yard sprints. They said, you know what, we can do a bunch of 10, 20-yard sprints because that's all you should be doing. And that's how we should be, really evaluating these guys coming out of college.
But you also never run 10 yards without being physically challenged by 1, 2, 3 people and having to move left and right and all. It's I guess it's a metric. That's all it is. They can take it as far as they want with it.
I think I'm the only guy here that's gone to the combine, and I thought it was all about Rich Eisen
Yeah.
running the 40 and everybody getting a reservation at the same restaurant, steakhouse in Indianapolis.
St.
St. Elmo's
Yeah.
with the shrimp cocktail.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
what
what
it-
is it?
it's- That's what it's turned into. To me, it's just a convention of.
It's a social hour for the coaches,
To
for
get
everyone to get together,
Yeah.
because everyone knows the combine is outdated.
It is.
There's so many other ways you can evaluate performance.
You had it right. Just scout well.
Yeah,
and
but
look at
also they
film.
put all these damn trackers and sensors in our shoulder pads from college on to measure your change of direction, your maximum output, your velocity, all that stuff. And so to come to the combine and then say, hey, you're not chasing anyone, you're not really running for anything, but go out there and do these drills and let's see how you do. But then when you already have all this data from when they're playing, so it's redundant, but then it just doesn't make any sense.
And as I told him a couple of weeks ago in San Francisco, what difference does it make? Because he's traded with another guy, as good a player as Shelby Harris is, he doesn't get to the Super Bowl before Drew Lock.
Yeah, well, that's that's the luck of
Isn't
the
that
draw.
crazy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We both get traded over there, we both leave, and then he
Both
comes
part of the
back and
big-
goes to Super
There
Bowl
were some
wins.
lousy guys that played with Michael Jordan that got to a lot of finals. So,
So this week will be interesting for Bronco fans specifically in that Sean Payton,
Why?
George Payton are going to be asked questions about things like who's calling plays this year. Whether Sean answers those questions, I
He
don't know.
won't.
But
He won't answer.
All right, but
I
this will be
doubt it
This will be the
completely.
first time he's asked about it.
yeah, he won't answer.
About Davis Webb and the coaching change on the offense and the potential for him to not call plays. But I think that's probably the most compelling part of the combine
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Do you think Sean's calling plays? Do you think Davis is calling plays this year?
I think Sean Payton's
I
calling
can't
plays.
imagine him letting go. He doesn't
Here's
seem.
what's going to happen.
I agree.
Davis Webb is not going to be sitting next to the quarterback. He's going to be up in the press box. First time in his career, except maybe when he was injured, because he didn't play much anyway. But he's going to call it to Sean, and Sean's going to accept it or dismiss it.
Well,
That's
call
exactly
it through, Sean.
right.
They can't. I think that takes too long. They're already late getting plays
And that's
in.
the issue.
No,
they already were
but I
running
was
into
told,
logistic issues when it came to calling
So as
plays.
a defensive lineman, you see that clock and you
No,
pick
but-
up an advantage every second that goes by that they can't adapt or adjust offensively.
Well, there's
Like-
no hard count. And then this is the best. This is the only thing that we need is the D line. You come up to the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds left. There's no chance for a check with me. There's no
Motion,
chance for a hard count.
None of that.
If it was a motion, you have to snap it on the motion. But at the same time, I'm lined up in our stance. I'm looking at the play clock. It gets to 5. I know when you hike it, that first hut, we're going.
Yeah.
And so that actually hurts your O lineman.
Yep.
Because it makes him slower off the ball. And obviously the whole point of the snap count is to give the O lineman an advantage. But when you're using the play clock as, kind of going off the play clock too, all it does is give the D lineman a bigger advantage than the O lineman. And we're going forward, they're going backwards. So guess who wins that most of the time?
There was an offensive coordinator for the Broncos during the Peyton Manning era, and Peyton said, I want that play that you have it while we're running the play before that. He said, I want it within 5 seconds. And he said that when he said that to me, I was always going to have that done. So I think you can do it, but
Especially him.
you better be doing it in 5 to 8 seconds, I would think.
The other thing people never understand, because most people take Bronco fans, they've never gone to a game on the road. And so they don't understand how crowd noise affects the snap count and what an advantage it is for an offensive lineman when he can hear the snap count. Now, when and the difference when you go out on the road and it's loud, explain to people how different it is.
Well, just look at Aaron Rodgers, for example. One of the all-time greats when it comes to luring people off sides, getting the free play downfield, anything like that. 99% of those plays happen at home.
Yep.
Because it's quiet.
It's quiet.
You're able to use your voice to get people to jump. You're able to play with it. You're able to just go extreme. You go loud, and then you're very sudden. On the road, it's all based off of the silent count, the head movement of the center. So the issue, though, the defense knows that too. And so even if you do it on 2 or 3 where the O-lineman puts his head down and lifts it up, puts it down and lifts it up over and over again, nobody's afraid of that because we're just going off movement at that point. There's no high, there's nothing to go off of. So all you're doing, and that's why, you see defenses all the time pumping the crowd up, saying, get loud. You're just giving us that advantage. Because how many times you see the O-lineman jump?
Yeah.
All right, 5 yards. Now it's even more. Pin the ears back and go eat.
Yep.
But then another opportunity to really get that jump on the snap count. Because we all know as pass rushers, it could just take 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
From a difference between a sack fumble, and an 80-yard completion downfield.
Hey, speaking of pinning the ears back and going and eat, tell us how good Myles Garrett was this year.
It's not fair because he definitely stole a bunch of my sacks. I want that known. I really
like you were actually in on the sack and he got the credit.
Well, no, throughout the years, I'll say this, and this is the best part about playing D-line. It's one of the most competitive, I think, position groups out there. It's a race to the quarterback.
Internally competitive.
Yeah, it's a race to the quarterback. And we're not haters. We don't hate on each other for getting there, but when it elevates you when you play with players like Myles, because he's getting there in 2.5. 2.5 seconds, Myles will probably be there. So that means how much better do you have to be to get there? So all it does is raise the play of everybody else around him. But the one thing I say about Myles, though, is just that it's unfair because he gets there every time. It's literally like almost every time he gets there. I remember we played in Chicago this year, and I remember I humped, and we say hump is when you throw by Jonah Jackson and I was on the left side. I see Caleb Williams. I go to make a sack, and next thing you know, Myles is right there. You know what I'm talking about? And the thing is, I had threw Jonah Jackson, and Myles somehow avoided Jonah Jackson and came back, made the play, and we both go and tackle Caleb Williams at the same time. I'm just like, I didn't see you. Didn't even see you, but
well, you should have got half a sack.
I did. I did get half of that. I did get half of that one, but that's the disadvantages to playing with Myles. But the advantages, once again, he makes so much stuff shake. Sometimes the quarterback will come right to you.
Yeah, because he'll push him up into the pocket.
Just like playing with Vaughn, playing with Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
I play with some great edge rushers.
Benito and Cooper.
Yeah,
here
Brett
this
Favre
year.
fell down so Strahan could get the record. Did Joe Burrow on that last one kind of?
That would have been my sack. And anyone could say what they want to about it, but when we were running a game where the other side tackle came inside. He picked for me. I came wrapping around. Myles was burning the edge. And so when Joe Burrow tried to step up, I'm right in his face. So it's either you let me hit you or you just give yourself up. And so I know people talk about the Brett Favre and Michael Strahan thing a lot. Trust me, I was a Packer fan. I watched it live. I remember watching it live. And I was like, oh, yeah, Brett, they just gave it to him. They made sure they gave it to him.
Do you remember what Tomlin said? Did Myles say after the Pittsburgh game that, they doubled me the whole game. Their whole idea was not to let me get the sack. And Tomlin came out and said, no, we played them the same way.
No, that's BS. I played.
Well,
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. Because I heard the O-lineman mention it a couple times.
So it was.
I heard Aaron Rodgers mention it, with my own ears. You're not going to get it today.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it today. And so they're doing everything possible, sliding to him, chips, double team.
So Tomlin was bullshitting everybody.
Yeah, because it was obvious.
That's why you got fired.
That's why you got fired.
Well, it was just obvious from the beginning of that game. And honestly, leading up to it, the Steelers game, the Bills game, even the Bengals game, every team
the TikTok
possible was trying to do everything possible to make sure that Myles didn't get it. And now, the Steelers game, was it because of a TJ Watt holds that record too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to think about, okay, are there outside circumstances that are kind of making it like you're not going to get this on us because our guy has this record and in a short amount of games and on stuff. So it's easy after the fact to be like, we weren't trying, we didn't do anything different. But if you watch the tape, you'll see it was extraordinarily different.
Yeah.
Presumably, you will be a free agent. You shall be a free agent.
Shelby?
If that happens.
Shelby Harris.
Very good.
You like that, huh?
If that happens, is there a coach in the league you would love to play for?
Well, obviously,
We will take that you're going to go to that team, but I mean, you've seen everybody. 12 years, dozen years.
Yeah.
Put you in a small group, a dozen years.
Oh yeah, and that's something I'm very proud of because
How many guys left from that draft class?
well, especially considering the way my career started. My first 2 years in the league, I was on practice squad probably about half the year, and then getting cut, going up and down practice squad to active. My third year now in the league for 15 to 17 weeks, signed week 16 to Dallas. Was there for 3 weeks, got cut, then signed a futures here, and was here for 5 years, and then my career took off after that. But I would say if there was a coach I wanted to play for in the league, it would have to obviously be the coach I just played for, Kevin Stefanski. I love Kev. We get along very well. He's a guy who listens to his players, understands his players, and is there for his players. That's always been. He's been one of my favorite coaches. I've never had anything negative to say about Kev. Kev just always, he's always looked out for me as a person and as a player. So I have the utmost respect for Kevin. And obviously, I came back to Cleveland after my first 1 year to stay with Kevin, stay with Jim Schwartz, and to be on that defense. But, obviously I love Cleveland. I love everything. I would love to go back, but, you don't close any of your options. But I loved Kevin Stefanski and everything that he's done for me and my family.
You played here more than any other place. Is this also a place you'd like to play again? Obviously, you had a good time with the Broncos, played with Vance before. Was that something, would the Broncos be of interest to you as well?
Yeah, I would love to. Obviously, they're successful. They just won. They have a hell of a coach in Sean Payton who will be in the Hall of Fame one day. They have a great infrastructure. I still know a good amount of guys on the team. I like their work ethic and really just the mindset of the guys. I would love to really come back here and make my life a lot easier. Obviously living here and being around, but I'm not going to close any doors.
Anywhere you not close any doors. Anywhere you wouldn't go?
No, because money's green
Good
everywhere
answer.
you go.
Yeah, great
Money's
answer.
green everywhere you go. And what I've always realized, because obviously Cleveland had a bad rap when I went there, and I always will say this, I think the media makes more of a story about places than there really is. And so you can't judge it based off of what you hear. Obviously, we have the NFLPA report cards that have been coming out, which NFL...
They're getting rid of those.
Yeah.
Well,
aren't
no,
they?
they're not getting rid of
I
them.
thought
They're not going to be public.
They're not going to be published,
Yeah,
but I highly doubt they don't get out. Come on,
Yeah,
everything
they'll
else,
get out.
everything else
I
gets
thought
out.
those were great. I always wanted to know who scrimped on the cafeteria.
Usually it's
and
Woody
what-
Johnson.
It was Woody. I was about to
Woody
say it was
Johnson.
Woody Johnson. Really was the main one that was
Hey,
pushing it to be.
we have you here. I mean, you played with Shedeur Sanders. What were your thoughts?
I was highly impressed with the kid because you got to think of it like this, and I'm not even gonna call him a kid, the young man, because you got to think he's like 22, 23 years old. I believe that definitely got the short end of the stick. Everyone made all these big deals about stuff that it was out of his control. He can't control who his dad is. We just like Payton and Eli couldn't control who his dad was.
Or Bronny.
Yeah, you know what I mean? No
Yeah.
one can control who their dad is and how influential they are and how and how much power they have. But the one thing I will say is that Shedeur works. He works his ass off.
You did?
And he takes the time to get to hang out with his teammates, which I think is extremely important, especially when you're a young quarterback, because it's all about building those relationships with the players and building that time with them so that when it is crunch time, you know how hard I've been working to get here. You've seen it. The proof is in the pudding. You've seen how hard I've been working. So when it's crunch time, hey, you believe in me because you've seen the work.
It seems like, though, you like Kevin Stefanski, but it seemed like there was a Kevin Stefanski, Shedeur Sanders disconnect at times, at least publicly.
I wouldn't even say that. Obviously, we went through 3 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
and you can't act like a single one of them is your favorite because you don't know if they're the permanent solution.
Right.
And I would come in the building every day, and I would see either, especially not really Joe, because Joe was an older, established quarterback, but every other day he'd have either Dylan in his office going over offenses or Shedeur in his office.
How about
in his
Deshaun
office.
Watson? Was he there too?
Yeah, and Deshaun was very helpful for all of them, because Deshaun, even though before he even came back to play, he wasn't doing it, he wasn't going to do anything. He helped every step of the way. He was a guy who, any question you needed from from the young guys, he was there. He traveled for one of Shedeur's first away start, and he hadn't traveled all year, just to be there for him.
Yeah.
And so, I hate the narrative that goes around about Shedeur, because Shedeur, all he does is go in and work. And if anything, you got to give Deion credit for that. He taught him how to work.
Yeah.
He taught him how to handle himself at work.
And he was one of the earliest men to get there because he was speeding so fast.
But I will give him this though, and I hate Cleveland suburbs for this reason. Man, the speed limit is outrageously slow. I'm talking about literally, like, outside the facility, you're talking about 25 miles an hour. I'm talking about from the facility all the way home for me, and I lived like 10, 15 minutes away, 25 miles an hour the whole way.
Yeah, it's
Well, Broncos in Dove Valley's no bargain either, because it's in a neighborhood, and Von Miller would get tickets, and it's like they were trying to pick on the Broncos players so they could get Jefferson County could increase its revenue.
Douglas
income.
County, yeah.
Douglas County.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to talk about the Nuggets, and they had a weekend from one of their best games to one of the worst, but we'll do that after I tell you a little bit about our friends at American Financing. You got to be honest these days, the math not adding up so well, whether it's the grocery store or skyrocketing insurance premiums. Even people with steady jobs find that families are being forced to rely on high-interest credit cards to cover their expenses. If you're a homeowner and you find yourself caught in that cycle, carrying balances, the interest rates in the 20s, maybe even in the 30s, here's a way to get some relief. Right now, mortgage rates are at a 3-year low. Our friends at American Financing helping homeowners pay off that high-interest debt with rates in the low 5s. Their salary-based mortgage consultants don't just push loans, they help you build exit strategies from debt. On average, they're saving customers $800 a month. And if you start today, you might also be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. There are no upfront fees, no obligations, and if you want to find out how much you can save, call Colorado's Home for Home Loans, American Financing, at 855-581-5828. Again, that's 855-581-5828, or visit americanfinancing.net/green. All right, fellas, we turn to the Denver Nuggets. Last week, we obviously had a very emotional show as we talked about Doug Moe's passing, right, as we were doing our show. And then on the weekend, they went to Portland and put up the highest total that they'd put up ever on the road. And Woody, you wrote about that in the Gazette this week, a little bit about how much Doug would have enjoyed that.
I wrote that one's for Doug.
I saw it.
And
It was good.
that seemed like a Doug Moe sort of game. And he did have the record when he was a coach on the road, 153 points. And it was almost as if, and none of the players really remember Doug. They may have seen some film or something, or when he come back to town. But that was the way that the style of play that he did when he was coached.
So we thought they were all set, right? The Nuggets were, here we go, they're fixed.
And then I watch the Warriors and I go, what's happening to you guys? Here's what I'm trying to just analyze it the best I can. That yes, they must have the Joker. They must have Murray. But they are missing Gordon. He is the essence of the team, I think, from the standpoint that he's tough. He's not afraid to go out and really play hard and tough in every game. They're missing that at the end of the game. There's just this slight situation where they just go soft at the end of the game. That's when you got to be your toughest, it would seem to me.
I thought yesterday, again, they played a lousy game coming out of the break against the Clippers, should have won, threw the game away. On a back-to-back where they're one of the best teams in the NBA, they came out and obliterate Portland. What bothered me, they missed Gordon, they missed Watson. Yesterday, they were playing a team that was just on fumes. No Steph Curry, no Draymond Green, no Porzingis, who had played well on Friday night. They lost the game in the first.
Jimmy Butler.
And Jimmy Butler's out for the year. They lost the game in the first quarter. Jokic played great in the first quarter, and they're down by 12 at the end of the first quarter. They were not ready to play the game. And don't give me the 3 games in 4 nights, because they'd been off for 10 days at the All-Star break. Championship teams, and Doug was great at this, bury teams that are
Variable.
Thank you. And they let Golden State after 1 quarter believe, hey, if we just play hard, we just play harder than them, we'll win. And not only that, Golden State hit every 3 in the first half. They went 0 for 13 in the third quarter. Denver got up by 6, had the game, and they let them score 15 consecutive points. Championship teams don't do that. I'm sorry, they don't.
Well, we had talked about this before we even came on air, because what it reminded me of was when Denver was on the other side of this. When they were in Milwaukee playing the Milwaukee Bucks, Denver had no starters playing. Aaron Gordon played, and that's the game he pulled his hamstring. And after that, it was a complete, all 5 starters were backups. And the Bucks had all their starters. And the Nuggets were out there and pretty much beat their ass. And throughout the whole game, out-hustled them, really outplayed them the whole game. And at the end of the game, the Bucks almost came back, but the Nuggets backups really held them off. Now, this way, it was a complete opposite. The Warriors didn't have anyone playing. The Nuggets, obviously not Aaron Gordon and Payton Watson, but they had most of their star power playing, and they came up short. I think this will be a lesson that they can need later on in the season about no matter what, you can't take any opponent lightly, no matter who's playing and who's not, because, as you see, this is a loss that can come back and bite them in the ass later in the year.
Yeah, they're trying to get seeding.
But how does this wake-up call, if it comes, come? They have a couple days off now before Ron's Celtics come to town.
Well, they're lucky. They're catching the Celtics on a back-to-back. The Celtics are playing Phoenix on Tuesday night. Then they come in here and play the Nuggets Wednesday. But I watched the Celtics yesterday. The Celtics win games. And this is what's great about football and basketball. The harder playing team usually wins.
Every time.
Shelby, one of the reasons I really like doing this program is that if I'm worried about the Red Sox schedule, I can get it. If I want to know what's going on
it's
in
like
the
you
Celtics
with Milwaukee,
room,
right?
Oh, Brewers, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Your hometown stays with you. It
does.
I still follow
Forever
all
and
those
ever.
New York teams.
But, I mean, they should beat the Celtics.
But how do they, like, you talk about, is it coaching? Is it chemistry? You can talk about talent, but they had more talent on the floor than the Clippers. They had more talent on the floor than the Warriors.
Well, we should ask a professional athlete who's probably been involved in a ton of games where maybe the team on the other side had more talent, but your team had more hard-playing guys and figured out a way to win the game.
I think the issue is chemistry. They've had so many guys in and out, that they can't really get a real good flow with their starting 5 right now. But these issues that are going on are going to be great for them later down the road.
You hope.
And I really believe so, because you're guys that necessarily won't be playing come playoff time are playing right now.
Do you trust this coach to get them to where they need to be?
Yes, because the way he handled the absence of his star players shows me he knows what the hell he's doing.
Except I think he really needs a stronger voice as an assistant coach, because he's not a wow, get in your face kind of head coach. That's not his style.
Well, Michael Malone would have behaved differently yesterday in that game against the Warriors.
He almost
would have
needs
been raging.
He needs almost a Malone, Doug Moe kind of guy.
A Jeff Van Gundy type.
But here's the thing, because you talk about having the chemistry and adjusting to these guys are missing. They play 3.5 quarters pretty well with that chemistry. It's those last 6 minutes this year that they've suddenly lost track of. They become either easily defensed, tentative. I mean, whatever it takes to lose, they've found that. Whereas, like you said, they used to have the other side of that.
That's why I said Gordon. I just think that his presence and essence is missing there. That he's a guy, and there's a reason why people around here started calling him Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
When you've got the two stars, you had two all-stars, but he is the guy that is sneaking under the goal, making the easy shot. He's the guy that was making the three-pointer at the gun. He's not the guy that's blowing it with 3 free throws as we saw in the first of those 3 games.
Yeah.
And you said it. It was so funny that, forgive me for picking on people describing the game, but somebody said, well, Jokic and Murray, had that long week. Well, they were playing against a guy on the Clippers side, Kawhi Leonard, that didn't seem bothered by the fact that he was at the All-Star
I think
game.
you made a really good point a few minutes ago that should be accentuated. They need a veteran NBA coach sitting next to the coach with the
Like his
Nuggets.
father.
Yeah,
maybe.
like his father. But, I mean, look at all these teams. Boston's got Sam Cassell. The Lakers have Nate McMillan. The Clippers have Van Gundy. You go down the list. All these younger coaches have veteran NBA guys. I think it's a really good point. He could be well served by having a guy who's sat on an NBA bench for a long time saying, hey, maybe we need to think differently.
You guys watch the games. The head coach, is not letting an assistant coach take over a timeout.
Well, there are only
And
15 or 20 assistants, so it's hard to pick which one you want to come in and talk.
I can't figure out whether you're an assistant coach or you're the guy that paid $2,000 for that seat. Really, when
Just
I
wear
looked
a
over, I went,
tracksuit.
there's a guy not getting up, and he looks like he's sitting in the coach's seat. I'm thinking, I covered this game for 50 years, and I went, I can't figure it out. When Doug Moe was coaching, the guy sitting next to him was me because they'd let the press there because they weren't
And
getting
Chopper.
$1,000.
Chopper.
Yeah,
How high is your concernometer about the Nuggets right now? You seem like you're pretty comfortable they're going to find it and be good at the end of the year and in the playoffs.
It just, right now, I would say like out of 10, I give it a 4.
Oh, it's pretty
Because
low.
it's a chance for it to bubble over and become a 7 or 8. But also, though, it's a chance it simmers down and they quiet all the doubt and over the next week or two, and you start feeling confident about this team that we see. But it could go either way right now.
Yeah.
But right now, like, you really need, and like you said, an Aaron Gordon, you need his presence. You need that veteran presence to sit there and calm everybody down and realize that the moment's not too big. We've done it before. But I guess the biggest issue, this is a different team. A way different team than years past.
Yeah.
It's a different bench. You have a lot of different guys giving you minutes that gave minutes before. And, it's Cam Johnson compared to Michael Porter Jr. So you knew if all else failed, you had a guy that could give you 25 as a snap of a finger. Now you have more of an all-around guy who's a team guy who's also been hurt. So I would be a little worried when it comes to playoff time because he hasn't played as much, and that's a guy that's going to give you quality minutes.
And this is a time to do it because Oklahoma City's missing the most valuable player. Forgive me.
Yeah.
But
And a few other good
what
players.
are we seeing happening? Instead of the Nuggets, it's San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's come to the forefront. You're talking about numbers
Alien.
and 1 to 10 or whatever. To me, you better not sleep on the Spurs because they got the guy that's going to be an MVP.
He's going to
for
run
4
the
or 5
league
years.
for a little bit.
For a long
Yeah.
time.
What's your concern at on a 1 to 10 on the Nuggets?
Heart.
No, like a 1 to 10. How concerned are you about where this team is right now? Would you put it? He
I'm
has them at a
concerned
4.
about my heart.
He doesn't care about the Nuggets. It's his own heart.
I'm talking about me, man.
Yeah, forget the Nuggets.
I'm like a 3.
For you or for the?
By
Never
the
mind.
end of the season, if I can make it.
Ron, what about
I'm
you?
trying to
I
make
mean,
it to 80.
I'd say I'm at a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think the Nuggets, if fully healthy, are one of the 3 or 4 best teams in basketball. We talked about it a few weeks ago. This might be a year where the injuries are just too much to overcome. Too many people have been hurt for too long, and they may not be able to get it back in time. Even if Gordon and Watson come back at the end of the season, they'll have been out for a long time, and you can't expect them to just jump right back in it. The other thing that
And guess what? Because just if I could interfere, 2 things about Jokic. He is not the same player before the injury. It's not quite there.
What did he have yesterday?
And he still has a
20
wrist.
boards,
He still has
35 points.
35 points.
But not the same player.
50
not the
assists.
same player. That,
He almost had a triple-double in the first quarter yesterday. He flirted with it.
I know, but you can say about a Wilt Chamberlain or a Michael Jordan, you can say
He'd
even
carry.
though yes, and it's not quite happening. And he's got the wrist problem that we saw last season. He wore occasionally tape around it.
I just want to see that intangible
Well, that's-
thing you see. It's not as I guess you see it in basketball a lot, but it's a hockey thing, it's a football thing. A little bit of sand, that little bit of grit in you that doesn't allow you to lose that game.
You know, I
yesterday.
think
That's the
this is
Aaron
unfair.
Gordon, though. That's the
that's a lot
Aaron
of-
Gordon of the squad. The like you said, Mr. Nugget. The dive on the ground for loose balls. The
I'll
has
take
no
him
problem.
at the end of the game on defense. I'll take that.
You know what else? So Doug used to say this too, because he used to laugh and joke and goof on Mike Fratello. When the head coach looks like the substitute high school gym teacher, there's nothing wrong with that. But Shelby can tell me this. I know in the NBA, players reacted to big guys or former players
Yeah.
that knew what they were doing. If you weren't one of those two,
It's
you,
harder.
you
Former
better be
player.
Red Holtzman or Red Auerbach.
no, Heisen.
Tommy Heinsohn.
Tommy
Tommy
Heisen.
Heinsohn.
Man, you didn't want to mess with
You don't
him.
want to mess
big
with
guy.
him.
Yeah.
Paul Silas.
It was
I mean, they
almost-
respect
No,
And
big
Tommy
guys.
almost-
Former players, though. That's
Yes.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Former
Doug
players.
was a-
Somebody that's
Doug
done
was
it
big.
before.
The
Somebody's-
players respected that.
Somebody that's done it before. Somebody that's been in your shoes. Somebody that can
Phil
realistically talk to you about the game, not from a
X
outside
knows.
perspective.
Pat Riley.
You know what I mean? We're talking about shifting body weights on post ups and little things like that. Well, you would have had to done it.
You've done
in
it.
order
You know.
to really talk about these
Or
things.
when a player comes to you and says, "This is a problem I'm having," and the coach says, "Yeah, I get it. I used to have the same problem.
Yeah.
I know."
I wondered about the Miami Dolphins coach. You grew up here.
Oh, Mike
just
McDaniel.
as
Mike
a
good
McDaniel, the
point.
Chargers
But,
OC.
Yeah.
that players would look at me and go, "Really, you're just a kind
In
of
capri
goofy
pants?
little
Chalkboard guy.
But the difference, if you're going to be that
But
type of
I-
guy, you got to handle yourself a certain type of way.
But
Yeah.
I saw the players that played with him said you could fight with him and stuff, but they respected him, and he's gone to a position now where he can, I think, be.
He's got a real,
He's
real quarterback.
yeah, he can really help.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey,
He'll
while we
help
have our
develop.
Milwaukee bureau chief here, what is going to hold? What's Giannis's future? Because he's the buzzword of the NBA. Is Giannis a buck or is Giannis gone?
You know, you backed me in a quarter here. I believe that Giannis will stay because I believe, though, that they will find a way to make a couple moves, trade a couple people away, bring in a better core that he'll be happy with, that he will be able to compete with and try
Rebuild
to,
around him.
Yeah, but the issue, and, obviously, I'm not saying 31 is old. Because I don't believe 31 is old. But in the NBA, when you got 19-year-old, kids running around, really running the
flag.
lead, 20, 21, they're looking at 31 well, if we're going to give you significantly less than if he was 28 for a trade package. And I don't think that Milwaukee's just going to give him away. I think because Milwaukee also knows that if they were to trade him, they need a significant draft package in return. Because they have no pieces. They have no draft picks for at least the next 3-4 years. They really don't have any young players on their team that are maybe worth trading. We've traded away every young player that we had. So for Giannis, it's going to take a trade. Because we have Myles Turner. You're going to have to bring in another real scorer. Because obviously you have Kyle Kuzma, but he's so inconsistent. One day he'll give you 2, the
Yeah.
next he'll give you 25.
Yeah.
You're going to really need somebody in there to take that burden off him, a Chris Middleton type who can go and give you 20, 25 every day.
Do you know? Does he want to leave or to stay? Has he? Because he's kind of stayed out of it, but it certainly seems like people around him have created buzz around him wanting to leave.
I've heard both. I've heard that he's never actually said he wants to leave, but then I hear that people in his camp say he wants to leave. So, you hear it, you hear both ways. And I guess I'm just hoping as a Bucks fan that it never becomes I hate it here, I want to leave, because we all know the NBA does have a bias towards the bigger market teams.
New York, LA.
And they the ESPNs, the media has a way of pushing all the big time players in small markets, pushing them out, trying to say, we've already heard the rumors about, we got to get Giannis to New York, Giannis to Miami, and then eventually you're going to hear Wemby. They're going to say, Wemby, we got to get him out of San Antonio. It's not big enough. But I think that Milwaukee would be the best place for him because Milwaukee will always want to remember what he did for that championship.
Yep.
But then I also believe that they will always continuously keep trying to go over and beyond and try to make
His
him
Game
happy.
7 in that championship, that might have been, and there have been a lot of great performances in the NBA.
Virtuoso.
That's up there, maybe at the top.
As a
all
guy
time.
who is not a great free throw shooter, they're going to Game 7 and to hit all those free throws. Without him making those free throws, they don't win that championship. A 50 burger on a Game 7.
It's up there.
I don't care about the Bucks. I'm much
should
more
care about the
interested. I'm much more
big Bucks.
interested in. Do you think the Brewers or the Rockies are going to be the better team this year?
We know. I don't think there's even a question
Tell you
here.
something.
The Brewers should sell everybody on their team and bring up everybody from the minors and still have a better team than the Colorado
Brewers
Rockies.
AAA affiliate will kick the
But
Rockies'
the Brewers
ass.
are one of those franchises that does seem to be able to reload without going into the free agent market and trading away bigger contracts. There are certain teams that can do it. The Brewers, your hometown baseball team, they know how to make baseball players.
And they scared the hell out of me last year. For last year to be the best season on record, and we traded away Corbin Burns, and now this year we traded away Freddie Peralta.
Yep.
Every year it seems like we're trading away one of our aces.
Caleb Durbin.
We traded Caleb Durbin to the Red Sox,
Yes.
and and Monasterio went to the Red
Monasterio,
Sox, and
yeah.
it seems like every time we get a player who we build them all the way up, right, and then they get right next to free agency like a Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, and it's like. We know we're not going to pay you, so what can we get for you?
Good.
And
Yeah, but they're like Tampa Bay. They are really well run.
Yes.
Really well run.
draft very well,
And if you
scout
look, they
very
draft
well.
well. They have one of maybe the most underrated manager in baseball.
Pat Murphy.
Gets more out of them than anybody else. And if you go back over the last 5, 6, 7 years, their trades, more times than not, turn out pretty well. How did Quinn Priester turn out?
Yeah, great. The only bad trade is the Hater trade. The
yeah.
Hater trade, we can all agree, was the worst
Yeah.
trade that whole administration
There was
has really
something
done.
there, though.
Yeah.
There was something there between him and the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it was he knew he wasn't going to get paid.
yeah.
And then he was like telling people he wasn't going to pitch certain days
Yes.
if they weren't competitive.
I was trying to transition to what
The Rockies?
Tom was telling me before we went on, that you think there is a difference in what you're seeing out of spring
So-
training, the way the managing, the coaching
Well,
actually has made a difference with all those new players.
What you're hearing and seeing out of the Rockies this spring training is that they're practicing baseball, which doesn't sound interesting except that it's new to them. Like, I think they used to show up, go through the motions, play some spring training games, and then take their roster and go lose 100 games. And it does seem, whether it's from DePodesta, whether it is from Warren Schaefer, it seems like they're actually practicing baseball. Now, they may still not have the
Get
horses.
a two-shot.
They may still not have the horses to compete, but it does seem like they are taking a different tack, which, if nothing else, taking a different tack is the way to go.
I think everyone's happy if they just, if anything, they just don't lose 100 games this year.
Huh,
I
good
think
luck with that.
everyone would be so happy, and it doesn't help that they actually play in, I would say, one of the toughest divisions in baseball.
But that means they got to win 20 more games than they did last
Yeah,
year.
that ain't
well,
happening.
that should. I think they
20.
can.
20.
I think they can because
Hey,
a
I
lot of
think
times
based on
I would say
what?
the bullpen, like, and we're still, we obviously still on in obviously the first day, the opening day, but their bullpen, if they can revamp the bullpen, that lost them a bunch of games last year, where they would like the starter could at least give them 5-6. They go to the bullpen, and then it kind of implodes.
It would go away.
Yeah, so the idea is if I look at this team compared to last team, I do say they would be a little better. The issue is, though, obviously, your big money ticket item and Chris Bryant is nowhere to be seen, and it doesn't seem like this franchise is going to go out there and pay for another because obviously the first one didn't work out. And the Brewers ran into this situation before when Christian Yelich was getting hurt. After they signed him to the 7-year, $185 million deal, his back was hurt, and the Brewers were worried about if they were going to be able to really compete. Because they weren't going to be able to sign anyone after.
Yeah.
And so now it's the same way as the Rockies right now. Their big ticket items hurt, and they're trying to make way with what they got left.
You're a basketball guy. You're a football guy. You're a hockey guy.
Man for
You've
all
gone
seasons.
through all of that, but you don't know baseball.
I know baseball. That's one thing I do know.
You're talking about
say,
that kerosene core that they have that doesn't come in and put out the fire. They pour kerosene on it. What they need is 3 thumpers. They need guys that hit 40 home runs. When they were successful in the early years, they had 4 guys that would hit 40 home runs. When they last went to the playoffs,
07.
they had guys that hit home runs. Arenado,
World Series.
go down the stretch. They had catchers that would hit 25 home
You're
runs.
Goodman.
So now they got guys.
Tovar.
They want to talk about
Nah, they should have signed
15,
the kid
18
Suarez.
home runs?
They should have signed 3. He's right. They should have signed 2 or 3 guys that can hit in the middle of the lineup, and even if they're going to lose a lot, have a reason for people
How much
to
does
go
that
to the
cost?
ballpark.
How much does that cost?
Do you think? Okay, here's an
Suarez. But the
signed
issue
with
is
the Reds,
people are still
1
going
year,
to games.
15 million.
People
If
are
they
still going to the games regardless.
Yeah.
So now that kind of what hurts.
That's a whole different issue. We're not about telling people not to go to games.
Well, yeah, of course not.
and that's not true. People are not going to watch the Rockies.
I'm going to watch the Brewers.
I have gotten the information. People go to special nights. They go to fireworks, stuff like that, Christian night or whatever.
They go
that
to
might
see
be.
their favorite team play.
People are going to see the
road
Milwaukee
team.
Brewers. They're going to see the Chicago Cubs. They're going to see the St. Louis Cardinals, New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers. That's who they're going to see. They're not
100%.
going to see the Rockies. And the Rockies have got to get themselves, forget about Chris Bryant. Okay, we've dealt with all that. Just give him his insurance money, get him out of there, go spend for 2 or 3 guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. That's the way you take advantage of this altitude.
Yeah.
It's not with a bullpen. It's not. I've watched the film this week. I'm going down in a couple of weeks to watch them play. Oh yeah, we're gonna run. We're gonna run a lot better. We're gonna run back. We're gonna steal some bases. This is not the go-go White Sox of 1959. Forgive me, I'm the only one that can remember that.
I remember.
This is a team
Al
that can
Lopez.
beat
Chuck
teams
Acevia.
16-14, not lose 21-4.
Well,
They
the
lost-
only reason I'll push back on that is because the Milwaukee Brewers are not built. Well, I get it because you're like, all right, the altitude.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage, which I agree. Which I always say this, that in any Colorado team should never lose a game at home. Because this is like your elements. You should know how to. And you have to build your team based off the elements. Here, the ball flies.
Yes.
We know that. So you do need to build some hitters. But I do believe this. You do need to run. You do need this. You need to learn how to bunt. Everyone needs to bunt. You need to learn how to steal bases because all these runs matter. And I just always marvel at how the Milwaukee Brewers build a team year in and year out. They might have one guy that hits over 30 home runs. But what they do, though, they all run. They all steal bases, and they actually hit.
They're good defensively. They believe in run
They
prevention.
save a bunch of runs defensively.
Well, I apologize. I guess I'm going to have to start calling you Baseball Shelby.
Hey, let's talk about a good team because we're going to wrap it up on the Avs. Coming out of the Olympic break, now they do have their 2 bronzes, 3 silvers, and a gold. But they, offensively, the Avalanche had a great Olympics. All the players who went over there did great. But they, too, now start a stretch run where we're going to find out.
A lot of games.
Where the schedule gets really tight. Their goalies were among those that had the 3 weeks off. But looking forward for this compressed schedule, the Avs are expected to not contend for a cup. They're expected to play for a Stanley Cup. And this next month and a half is going to be interesting to see.
I was thinking when you said they don't have to contend. Rockies don't contend for a cup.
No.
They don't contend for anything. I'm wondering You got Landeskog back.
Look good.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that was, again, a missing ingredient, like they needed to get the cup before. I think that that the captain is so important to this team, and the goaltending has to continue to be as outstanding,
It's been great.
exceptional that we saw in what I'd call the first half of the season. If it continues like that, we all know goaltending's going to wins you the Stanley Cup
Or the
eventually.
gold medal.
Yeah.
And so that if they can go through the stretch, and they've got 2 goaltenders, both with my name in their names.
Yes.
So I think that it's really critical to them that, yes, they've got the talent up in defensive talent. They've got power lines that I think are out just as good as anybody in the league, but they got to get the goaltending that they've had up until this moment.
Hockey Shelby, what do you think about that?
Well, I just think for them, their biggest issue is you don't want an Olympic drag.
Yeah.
You don't want the Olympics to drag on for
Carry
too
over.
long, and then now you're 5 games out of the break and you're 0-5. Especially since, I guess more than most teams, they had a lot of players
8.
playing.
8 guys.
You know what I mean? They had a lot of players playing in the Olympics. And so it's all about just really resetting and getting back on your real team, the Avalanche, getting back on the same page. And I think their success will really just depend on how long that takes. And we'll see. But I really do believe, though, that them having so many players on this Olympic rosters, I think it's going to hurt them.
Well, we'll see how they manage McKinnon, Makar, Brock Nelson, Devon Taves, those guys who played all the way through the 2 Finns, Lehtinen and Lehkonen and Kiviranta, to see how they manage their time on the ice, because it can be
They played a lot.
It's taxing.
Yeah.
That's 3
Yeah.
more weeks.
Hey, Shelby, I got to tell you, I've never met you until today, but I followed your career and stuff. Not only are you delightful, if you don't get a job in the media when you're done, you screwed up, man.
Well, appreciate it, man. I appreciate
I mean, you
that.
got thoughts and you're creative. You take advantage of.
Man, I learned from the best, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Working with Woody
There you
over at
go.
Super Bowl was a
Get-
real
go to-
eye-opening
I
experience.
mean, maybe I don't know if you want to stay in football or not, but if you want a career in the media,
Well, I'm getting old.
Well-
so it's time. And actually, it's funny you say that. So this is why I do all this stuff. You know,
You know,
what I mean? It's
before you-
time for me to figure out
Next.
what's next.
we had a
and-
guy here
and to be
named
ready for it.
Tommy Jackson, who was a pretty good weak side
I heard
linebacker.
about Tom.
You remind me a lot of Tom. And, you know, Tom wanted to get a job. He didn't know what he was going to do, and he turned it into a great post-football career. So,
Yeah, well, appreciate it. That's why I do
but
radio a couple days
yeah.
a week. I do this stuff with you guys every once in a while. And
Nice.
But I'll tell you what the solution's going to be for you. When Tom Jackson's career was winding down and he was trying to figure out what to do, he and I wrote a book together. And I made him a star. And the moment that book came out, ESPN hired him for the next 20 years. So if you really want a future that is successful, high-paying, fun, not much work, you and I should write a book.
okay, it's time to write a book then, baby.
We'll call it Shelby in Shelby County.
oh, yeah.
Shelby, it's been
We
great.
had the most fun I had in San Francisco was we were together about 5 hours a day because
Yep.
we had no schedule because nobody would tell us when, and we just go grab people and tell them
Talk.
to come on. And he did an incredible job of
can see.
of interviewing the people that came on because we had a variety of.
From J.A. Adonde to...
It was like Girl Scout cookies in terms of different types of variety of people coming
from
by.
Cam Jordan. Like,
But that's great to hear from Woody because most athletes, in my years and years of doing it, they're very used to answering questions. They're not used to asking questions.
That's a different.
it's
That's
different.
a different realm because
Yeah.
I like when we were out there at Super Bowl, I did an interview with Carson Schlesinger, the NFL Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he was my teammate. And I thought about it halfway through. I'm like, this is my first time doing a stand-up interview like this. You know what I mean? But it was fun. It was cool.
But
It
you
is
also get
cool.
to ask him stuff you wouldn't ask him in the locker room. You're asking him stuff so he can address everyone, whereas in the locker room you might just be asking
Well,
about
what Shelby
who we're
has
playing.
got going for him will make this 10 minutes of
Kissing his
piling
ass.
on. Yes, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
I
Appreciate
kind of
it.
mentioned it to him that Brian Greasy and a few others that have gone from football into the media, and I said, "Don't tell me what I know. Tell me what I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what the time is. I know that was a quarterback sneak. I know that defensively that's a blitz. Tell me something I don't know. And what he's done in talking about Shedeur today is something that
Enlightening.
we don't know about the. And so
Exactly.
that's my advice to him as someone as an observer for a long time. And that's what I saw in San Francisco. Your career is going to continue. You've got at least you'll be a practice player this year.
Oh wow!
Thanks a lot. Another
Thank you,
backhand
thank you,
swipe. Hey, here's my one piece of advice, and it's very small, and somebody gave it to me a long time ago, and it worked. When you're going to interview a lot of people when you get out of pro ball, you can think about the interview, kind of visualize the interview. Don't take a set of questions in.
Yeah.
Just listen to what they say, because they'll determine where the interview goes. And I've seen young interviewers do this, where you sit down with somebody, like you're going to interview Woody, and you got a list of questions. And in Woody's first answer, he says, "Hey, I want to come out. I'm gay. I'm 80 years old." You haven't even heard it. You're on to the second
go to
question.
question
Woody, how's that feel?
I'm just using that as, but you know what I'm saying, Shelby? Just listen to what they say. And it sounds easy, but it takes a talent to listen,
That's-
to actually
That's
listen
what
to
we all
people.
learn.
Participate.
My wife wants me to do
I
better.
never take questions into it. If you listen, that leads to the next
Leads to
question.
the next
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that's-
I
that's
sat
the
there
thing
with
about it.
Dan
But
Reeves
he's good
and
at it.
Shanahan
He's
forever.
good
I
at
never
it.
went in with
I worked
questions.
with
I
Just
appreciate
listen
that.
to him.
Appreciate that,
That
fellas.
was a lot of fun. If we just didn't have to deal with a couple of people that were running around, like when my grandmother lived in Mississippi and she'd invite me over for lunch on Sunday, and she'd cut the head off a chicken. Gosh, I saw a lot of people down there like that in San Francisco.
On that note,
Yeah.
Shelby, it's been great to
Speaking of
chat with you.
chicken-
Thanks for taking the time to joining us here on After the Horn. Hopefully, we'll
Well,
see you
thank
back
you.
soon.
I thought you were talking to me.
No, it's
He's
also
not thanking you for anything.
it's been nice of you to share your chicken story.
Yeah.
Best of luck with the next step in your pro football career, and obviously, we'd love to keep visiting with you here as often as you can.
Well, appreciate you guys having me on.
You
I
bet.
had a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
We always like to hear from you. If you want to reach us, you can always find us here at ATH. That stands for After the Horn, for those of you who are wondering about that. ATH at guerrillasports.net. That's going to wrap it up for this week. Hopefully, we'll see you right back here again next week for another edition of After the Horn.